My first question is on the piece of data, and Yash, will start with you. You're with Zeppto, and I think Zeppto was the one who's brought in the 10 minutes delivery, right?
That's true, that's correct.
So I think my question to you would be that, what is the role that data plays in delivering great experiences in your organization? And more so, what are the challenges that you face in delivering this, and how do you overcome some of those?
Hey everyone, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks a lot for having me on the panel. Overall, it's been a good forum. About me, I'm Yash. I head the engineering team at Zeppto. I'm almost completing 1 year. I'll complete 1 year in March. And it's been a whirlwind of a ride. It's been a very interesting experience. Zeppto's grown like crazy in the past 1 year. And as Prashant rightly said, Zeppto was the first one to actually pilot and introduce a 10-minute delivery in India. And in fact, some of the initial customers, they used to place a lot of orders just to see whether it really comes in 10 minutes or not. While this is a great experience for consumers, but it's actually built on a very strong base of data. Right? And the whole part of us being able to analyze and process a lot of data in real time, ability for us to predict what kind of products need to be available in customers' neighborhood, a lot of that is actually powered by data. The reason why we're able to do 10 minutes delivery compared to a traditional e-commerce is in a traditional e-commerce, orders get fulfilled from a central warehouse. You have the first mile, the last mile, the mid mile, and so that actually creates a lot of time for you to deliver, for a company to deliver an order. In Zeppto, we fulfill from what we call the delivery hubs. These are near every neighborhood. And these are small, these are mini warehouses. So as this is a mini warehouse, the amount of inventory that we can keep in that warehouse is very limited. So we need to be very, very strong in predicting what is the kind of products which have to be which we need to store in our mini warehouse. Overall, keeping a very close track of how much time is taking for an order to be delivered. Are there some places where things are not as efficient as they can? So I think the whole premise of a 10-minute delivery is powered by data.
Awesome. Continuing to Ranjit, I think Yash spoke about the chain process. I think you guys are the agri piece, right? And the supply chain is a very important aspect there. So what are some of your learnings as a part of this?
Hey, thanks Prashant. Hey everyone, myself Ranjit, I head the customer experience in 𝗕𝗲𝗃. People who don't know about 𝗕𝗃𝗃, we are an agri-tech supply chain company. We take the fresh produce from farmers and get delivered to retailers, the nearby mom and pop stores, restaurants, and also the major e-com players like Zeppto, Dunzo, Flipkart. And we process about 1,500 tons a day. And taking the fresh produce from farmers, and we get that delivered within 12 hours, right? And what 𝗕𝗃𝗃 tried to do it in years, we wanted to solve the unorganized market by using technology. And we heavily use a lot of data science to predict the cost, the sourcing, the market, and also very strong tech-enabled supply chain infrastructure. And also it's very much important that you give every stakeholder in the company the latest technology, starting from a guy who is doing a quality check in our collection centers, fulfillment centers, and the distribution centers, and also the guy who's taking the customer complaints in the contact center as well. So data plays a very important role. Now, the biggest challenge is what we see in 𝗕𝗃𝗃 is, 𝗕𝗃𝗃 customer segment is very diverse. We deal with farmers, you deal with pushcart vendors, you have to speak their language. So it's very, very challenging. And that's what we felt like, we have to start speaking our customers' language. We started catering to all the customers we are right now operational in 7 cities. And our support team can handle, all those inquiries which comes in. And also very important that, the agents who are in the CX team is also being a bilingual expert. It's very important. They have to speak all the languages. It's also very important, right? So data and tech plays a very important role in 𝗕𝗃𝗃.
Great. Moving to Rahul, I think health tech, if you talk about, right, I think especially when you talk about health, it becomes a very emotional topic also for people, right? In terms of how they are being serviced, what specifics they are looking at in terms of, when they connect with doctors and other stuff, right? So when you look at 𝗵𝗏, right, which actually pioneered the AI-driven, health tech, what were some of the things that, you guys started, to look at, try to solve, and what are some challenges that came on the way?
Namaste everyone. I am Dr. Rahul Zukla. I am leading tech product data science at 𝗵𝗏. And as Prashant was describing, 𝗵𝗏 started with a simple mandate. Can we take our customers or patients from unhealthy stage to healthy stage in the fastest possible time with superlative experience? And when we speak about customer experience, let me give you a very simple example to start with. How many people here will be happy if I tell them that there are better choices available for you next door compared to what I am going to offer you? Will you take that service? Answer to that may be resounding no. If I come to you, hey, can you wait 10 extra minutes to take this service? Answer to that would also be no, as a customer, consumer. And then if I say, hey, it is more pricier for the same service quality, for the same product, will you say yes to that? Answer to that is also no. And that is where we have this framework, or what we call North Star, for customer experience can be categorized into 3 parts. That, hey, better, faster, cheaper. And when customer is reaching out to you, there are 2 very diverse intentions or motivations of customer to reach out to you. One is curiosity, and another is query resolution. And in the context of 𝗵𝗏, nobody opens the 𝗵𝗏 app to figure out what is happening around my neighborhood. When their kid is having high fever in the middle of the night, they say, hey, is there a way I can reach out to the doctor right now? And that is where what we have discovered, when people are coming to you in need, in stress, the way we have to deal with them, we have to prioritize listening to them. We have to prioritize how do we reduce that wait time. And to make those things happen, we have to, let us say, create customer experience process and mindset in the whole organization, including tech, product, even the care doctors, so that when they reach out to the customer, they listen to the customer first and secure their inputs before they respond to them in the fastest possible manner. So how did we do that? As soon as customer reaches out to 𝗵𝗏 app, we know that it may take 7 minutes of time for my doctor to even come here. And after that also, they will ask certain questions. So we say, can we create certain intelligent way of capturing user requirement, whether you are unwell or your kid is unwell, what are the symptoms? And on the basis of which, we have created a simple conversational, what we call machine learning driven chatbot, which respond to them, and it creates a provisional summary to them, to the customer themselves, so that somebody is interacting on their behalf, and the same information flows to the doctor, so that as soon as doctor comes online and video call get initiated with the customer, doctor starts with knowing who is the patient, what patient is suffering, so that they can quickly ask differential question to bring in medical domain know-how based final understanding of the medical state or health state of the patient, and respond to them, hey, don't worry, you would be all right, just take these 2 medications, or if required, have this lab test done tomorrow. And again, if customer is happy and with only prescription treatment, we also say, hey, do you require the prescription medicine to be available in next 2 hours? So there is a concept of now service. You have on-demand doctor, and if doctor has prescribed, those medicine can also be on demand, you can request. If doctor has prescribed certain lab tests, they can also be on demand. So whenever people reaching out to you in the state of stress, the way tech product can deliver the experience should be focused around solving for problem instead of curiosity. And those learnings we are able to embed as a part of our product. We are able to say what we need to automate, where we need to engage customer using the machine learning interfaces, or where we have to bring in real human being to interact. And all this is possible by doing the what we call detailed UX research, where we understand what type of wait time is reasonable for them. And we arrived at 7 minutes. So this is the 7-minute time. We said, can we create a workbench of doctors where my doctor would be available on the screen in 7 minutes. So we have created a process through that. These 7 minutes, when customer is interacting with the 𝗓𝗏ine app, they are still feeling like they are interacting with certain human being because of the responses which are coming their way, so that they have no sense of wait time. They are engaged and they know certain thing is taken care of. And by the time they are in the what we call attention drop zone, doctor appears and starts solving for their problem in a more humane manner. And all this is possible because of the every interaction points we are, let us say, mapped as a part of the customer journey, tracked where time is the primary, let us say, time point. What are the time points when these events will become drop-off points or churn point for a customer, and how do we take a remediation step before customer goes off the application and distort the overall customer experience or health experience of a customer. So that's all from my side.
Great thoughts, Rahul. I think contextualization and prompting the right thing at the right time is what something I think which is differential, right? So coming to Swadhin, I think in the edtech space, different challenges, right? So you have an offline experience first, where the sales happen, and then there's an online bit that happens. In online as well, there are two customers. One is your parents who actually subscribe their children, and then there are children actuals who are actually taking those classes. How does this entire customer-centric personalization piece hold for you? What role does data plays in? And I'm sure there are interesting challenges here as well, so we'd love to hear from you.
Hey guys, I'm Swadhin. I'm head of engineering at Byju's. So I'm heading IT and medical preparation there. Most of you is aware of this domain for sure, might have appeared for that. It was an interesting domain for sure. Before that, I was with Swiggy working with Instamart. So I could see there is definitely a switch between the customer experience at Swiggy to edtech. Right, first of all, I would like to categorize edtech in multiple separate categories or cohort, we say. Edtech varies from class 4th, we call it. I mean, before that also we have, but that's like more of a different experience. But we cater from 4th to 12th. Even after 12th also we have for IAS or for SSC or bank exam. You have different user segment. There are users who might be little, they are aware of how to use devices. There are users who don't know how to use devices. Right, so I'll come that part little later, but I want to compare first what is hybrid versus complete digital. What is hybrid first? Hybrid is something where you go for classes for, let's say, a couple of days in a week, and 3 days you want to study on a platform where there is a live interaction, like Zoom kind of experience on your tablet or your laptop. Right, first thing, data is, here itself data is very important. You want to get the feedback from the user saying that, hey, was the hybrid was better than whatever you're doing on digital. If you're getting negatives on digital, means that you have to improve. But most of the cases we have seen in recent past, in lockdown also, and lockdown hybrid was completely shut down, and that was the experiment for us. We have seen when user started coming to hybrid, and now things are little easier for hybrid. We can conduct the physical classes. We have seen that users are giving more better feedback on edtech, and that's something we have achieved, right? Now, why this is important? Because every data we analyze, we have attendance, which we can measure without calling the names in the class. We can track the attendance. We have assessment. We have monthly progress report, which is definitely possible on edtech, which physical center, it might not be that accurately possible. Everyone has gone through physical center. Your teacher will not give you the monthly progress or weekly progress, or he will not tell you that, hey, you were good in algebra in last week and now you are not doing great. It is the monthly report which they will share in maybe the end of the year when your exams are happening. So data plays crucial role here for sure. And every week we have a data analysis where we want to capture certain metrics, like when I talked about, which is monthly progress report. When we I talked about the hybrid, where we take the feedback that are we doing good on the digital, or are we doing on good on the hybrid. Also, it's very challenging for EdTech that your entire ecosystem is working fine. I'll take example of Swiggy. When, let's say, Swiggy is down for, let's say, a couple of minutes where the rain is happening or there is a peak load, you can wait for a couple of minutes and then you can place the order. But in EdTech, it's not possible. There is a live session going on, and you have to make sure that all the connectivity is there, otherwise user will not able to understand the topic which is being taught. So that's the reason data is very important. Now coming back to the user and parent and user experience, we have two type of customer. One is parent, where they buy the product for someone who is not able, does not have a credit card. Of course, most of them does not have, but few of them does not know how to use devices, mobile phones or laptop or tablets. So there we sell the product to parents, but later on it is being used by the different category. So we have a different application for all of them, and depending on the data, we find out who is able to click on certain features. Are they able to understand? Are they able to understand the English written? And that's where we come with the different tab or the bigger font to make sure that they are able to click on the right thing. And also every page we capture the matrix, and so that we know that the user click is better, more on the maybe the home page. It's not good on the next page. So we have to improve on that. So yeah, it's a challenging space, but we are getting closer to solve this domain with the data for sure. So.
Great. Thanks, Swadhin. Coming to Akhil, I think, very interesting use case for you also, right? I think you guys are powering payments for businesses, which essentially is driving their P&L, right? So how do you, perceive, or when do you look at managing customer experiences internally? What is customer experience for you, if I may ask?
Agree. I think as we talk about customer experience or any customer journey in general, I think points have been raised around how important each step measurement is for a user's journey in there. So whether it is Ola, whether it is Razorpay, it is around, say, understanding at which step there is possible friction where you can actually engage them better. So you start with the acquisition journey itself. You can try and understand what the user is here for. You pitch the right product accordingly. You try and identify what is the context of that person who's landing onto the page. And once they've converted, they've actually given you a lot of input, especially in a domain like ours, which is B2B payments. In a lot of those cases, you actually get to know which industry they are into, what type of payments are they going to be accepting. For example, we would be treating an EdTech player different to a health tech player in that. And based on that, the dashboard has certain nuances in which a user would come in and engage with on an ongoing basis. Then there's a concept of how we should curate experiences for each of the roles in there. So for example, a user who has a very specific role within an organization may actually just look at managing certain aspects of that, while there may be an admin role which actually needs to control a lot more about the business and may want to know a lot more about that. So a lot of those inputs actually give us the right set of triggers for us to be able to engage with them in relevant and meaningful experiences. That means actually you actually change the experience itself in some ways. In some of the cases, you actually change the interfaces itself. And of course, it's not just about Razorpay, it's actually about any consumer-focused organization that we interacted with. Say for Ola, this would actually also mean, say, where your next pickup should have been, or what is the relevant hotspot that I have actually recommended to you. So it's a very, very data intense way of really looking at products in general. And I think no product these days could survive without really looking at data in detail there.
Thanks for sharing that. Akhil, I think one point you mentioned about, managing varying customer experiences, right? So it come back to Yash, and so do you also have the scenario of, different customer experiences to be managed? I'm sure pre and post orders are definitely the use case, right? And how do you do the customer journey mapping of these, and how do you eventually deliver some of these things?
Sure. So first of all, I'll being in online commerce for a while, I'll also first talk about how the end user customer experience or expectations have also changed, right? So I think if you dial back to almost like early, like 2005, 2006, or even around 2011, if I think Flipkart was just launching. I mean, Flipkart had launched. Amazon was not there in India. So I remember when I placed an order on Flipkart and the book got actually delivered to me, that itself was like a superlative experience. Like, wow, this thing is possible. Coming back to maybe around 2020, a lot of those where the expectation was that I just order and it just comes to me, it doesn't matter, it takes 3 days, 4 days. Now that around 2020, people were expecting that if I place an order, it comes to me within 1 day. So if I place an order today, it has to come to me by tomorrow. And that's how customer expectation has increased. And now, of course, with platforms like Zeppto, we've actually taken it to the top notch where stuff is coming to you in 10 minutes. And it may not be, I think it may not be far-fetched to think that almost everything which you thought would take 7 days to 1 day, there may be customer expectation that everything starts coming to me within a few minutes or in less than 1 hour. Right? So the customer experience is always like a ongoing journey. You always have to keep improving yourself, keeping delighting the customer again and again. In Zeppto, we have a very interesting thing. So we actually have 3 types of customers as well. So of course, we have the end users who are actually placing the order. When they place the order, they get the orders delivered. We also have a lot of our employees who are working in our warehouses who are actually packing these orders. So that's the second set of customers. And then the third set of customers are all our delivery partners. These are the people who actually pick up the orders and deliver it to the consumers. And all of these 3, so in Zeppto, we look at all of these 3 customer experiences in a very different manner. And their use cases, their need states are completely different. Right? On the consumer side, it's like a traditional evolved consumer who are actually shopping. We've actually now seeing a lot of new consumers also coming in because they want to get their groceries delivered quickly. So I think that's an interesting challenge that we're trying to solve. And here, I think, as Prashant mentioned, there's a pre-order placement and a post-order placement. But for us, actually, we look at it in a combined manner because it's a very quick journey, right? So from the time when the consumer opens the app to once the order gets delivered, it's only like a few minutes. But the idea is to have it as efficient and as seamless as possible. On the consumer side, there are things like, for example, you can do things to make the discovery easier. So you can do personalization. You can actually curate content at a user level. In the checkout process, it has to be as efficient as possible. And of course, the delivery has to be seamless and smooth. And everything has to be of high quality that gets delivered to the consumer. On the delivery partner side, it's actually very interesting because there are a lot of different personas there. Some of them there's also a set of riders who are there as a part-time thing, right? So they're actually students. They go to class in the morning, and then in the evening they want to earn some money so that they have a little bit more pocket money to spend. So it's a very different persona. Then there's the other persona is where people who really, this is their job, right? So so they're working in Zeppto is actually providing for the main income for their family. So their personas are very different. So we actually we try to break all the customers into different user personas and then try to solve them, solve use cases and build products to serve each of these personas. And of course, throughout the journey, data is very, very important. So a lot of A/B tests are done to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And a lot of user research, offline research is also done to understand user behavior. So it's a very, very comprehensive exercise across all of these 3 consumer segments.
All right. Coming to Ranjit, what are some of these challenges in your space, right?
So on the pre-order and post-order experience, it's the same actually. Your post-order experience also should be in a very enriching way. Then only you can make your customers to come to your app and order. Ninja Cart, it's as I told you, it's very complex also to handle this because 40% of our user base doesn't have a smartphone. So, and how it works is, they have to come to the app and they have to place an order. So we thought that this is a major problem to solve. So we built our tools in a very smarter way that we reach out to our customers before, we do have something called a cart closure time. Before that, we reach out to our customers, 40% of our user base every day are reached out. We take orders on their behalf because they are not much educated. Second thing is, on the post-order experience, the major problems where we see is the quality issue and your quantity issue. It's very important there. And how we solve it is, of course, we don't want all our customers to, to come to, call the customer support and lodge a ticket. So we have built up an intelligent FAQ system inside our app. But FAQs, if you see, most of the brands, what they do is, they do it and they ask, was it helpful? Yes, no. So what we did is, since our customer segment, again, it's very diverse and complex. At the moment we give an FAQ, if the customer is able to relate that your delivery is on the way or your quality issue, something has happened, we raise a ticket and it goes to our complaints management and they take care of it. But the moment how this business runs out of trust. So we as a brand, we have to build trust with the customers. The moment a customer gets to the FAQ to report a quality or quantity issue, we raise a ticket in our systems, but at the same time, within 5 seconds, a customer gets a call from our CX team. So, hey, we saw that, you went to your FAQ and you felt that something was bad. How can I help you? So it's more of like a proactive approach we're trying to build, and that's how, we started building trust with our customers. So pre and post order, it's very complex, but our tech is helping us a lot to solve these problems. Yeah, thanks.
Rahul, coming to you, how to measure the impact of customer experience projects and getting the buy-in and alignment of key stakeholders, right? And of course, our own teams. This is one of the common problems that everyone faces. So love to hear everyone's thoughts one by one.
As a matter of fact, like any project we want to initiate an organization, we have to seek the buy-in from all the stakeholders. And in particular, one of the stakeholders is sponsorer. A sponsorer could be a business unit, or a sponsorer could be your leadership team. Another people buy-in which is also required is the people who are going to implement on the ground on behalf of the whole organization and to drive certain customer success initiative. And it is not very clear to begin with what is the right way to drive this alignment. And one of the simplest thing what we are able to do in 𝗵𝗏, I will take you through the experience where we have looked into our data set and we have said, hey, this is our customer journey. And if you look in the context of 𝗵𝗏, there are 3 primary type of customer groups. One is the patient who is coming to us to get cured. Then there are 2 other big groups. One is the provider group, whom we call caregiver groups. Doctor is one caregiver group, and their intention is to get the customer well and engage them deeply, and so that there is a deeper relationship. However, there is a pharmacy, lab organization also, who is also part of the provider group. Then there is a payer group, which is an insurance group. The focus of provider group is to give the quality care, but also get a reasonably high value out of it. Insurance group intention or motivation is very different. Their intention is have the highest quality care at a cheapest possible price. And that is where they look at whether this is a reasonable treatment and whether this is relevant for this particular type of care treatment, and the cost which is coming, is it the best benchmark? So they look at it very differently. So we reach out to our, let us say, business team and say, hey, what is your biggest problem you are trying to drive as a business goal? They say, hey, Rahul, we are having almost 3% drop at every step of the funnel. Customer start the journey, and when they reaches out to the payment, let us say, submit option, and thankfully we are using Razorpay as a payment gateway service provider, so we are doing a lot of interventions to reduce the system-related drops. But then we also discovered customer intent-related drops are also very high. So we say, then we said, okay, as of now you are having this benchmark. If we uplift this whole journey conversion by 5%, by having a deeper understanding of our customer journey by 2 mechanisms. One is put the journey event observability, and then video observability. What user is doing in the application while they are going through the process of selecting a doctor, giving the information about their medical condition, and then interacting with the doctor and making a payment. And not only do it in the sense of events, which are more of the textual data, but also video. Can we see really what is happening, like a UX cam based video? That will give us a mechanism to fix or understand the friction point and say whether we can remedy those drop points of friction point either by short circuiting or making them smoother so that user does not have to do the input. I discover it before they. So they said, okay, this sounds good, and but how much you can really do that? We say as of today your benchmark final conversion happens for online consultation only 27%. And from after consultation is done, your pharmacy and lab test order conversion is only 8.5 and 3.5. And we will uplift it by 50%. That is a claim we have made. We made the claim. In the end of day, you cannot get the business stakeholder buy-down unless you have a very, very radical shift. If you can do that, what type of investment you require? So we said, hey, when we are uplifting it by 2x or 50%, 1.5x, we are looking for a time frame of 12 months and 4 slices. Every quarter is a slice. Every first 2 quarters, we will have 5%, 15% type of jump. By the time we will reach an inflection, and that is the next 2 quarters will have a bigger piece of, let us say, return coming. And once we are able to showcase them that picture with inflection, that I will improve this, I was able to secure, if we do that, can you give me budget equivalent to 50% of what is the upliftment I am able to create for the 1 year? Because I have proven 2 things to them, that I am asking you to pay half the price for double the revenue outcome. And with that projection, they have agreed, so that is the first phase. Their sponsorship is available. But then once you say, I want to implement a customer data platform, analytics, what we call deeper discovery about the customer pain point, it also requires my tech, product, DevOps, data engineering team also to be aligned, how much work effort I need to do. So then there is another set of things. There is a learning opportunity for you. You are upskilling yourself as well as gaining a deeper insights into what works for your customer. And with that, let us say what we call couple of workshop-oriented session, we are able to convert the problem for my engineering and product and data engineering team into a mission statement for making customer journey better and faster 2x, because faster the journey, better is the conversion. That is the holy grail. If I can take customer from A to B in less than half the time, my conversion also uplifts by 50%, because customer has lesser time to drop off from the funnel. And with this insight, we are able to convert some of our what we call team members into a champion. And once we have champion seeded, we have a problem of what we call implementation set. We have some champion in the business stakeholder who are now convinced after 12 months we are able to show that, but we are also able to give them a projection of not 12 months down the road what you will get, but in quarter 1, slice 2, slice 3. They are always going to be little bit shift and drift, but now they have a game plan visible to them. And with that, we are able to address some of the roadblockers. And after implementation, slice 1, which we have recently done, we are able to showcase. Our projection was we will be able to improve in the first slice itself by around 10%. So we are roughly around 8%, primarily because of the implementation cycle took us little longer. But with this success of 8% itself, now business stakeholder has agreed to, let us say, give us more power for next 3 slices without any questions asked. So one thing is about creating a game plan, and then the team who has to implement, we have to make it a mission for them. And the team who has to gain, let us say, who has to drive the revenue or cost, for them make a ROI. Because the team who has to do it, they don't understand ROI language. They understand mission. It is creating a upliftment for my end customer, and it is creating my own upliftment in terms of learning new ways of understanding customer journeys or new technologies or new frameworks. So with these two things combined, we are able to drive successful outcome for slice 1, and hopefully we will continue it for next few quarters so that customer outcomes are met. And because customer outcome of better, faster and successful journey till they become healthy is happening, that hopefully will translate into far better business outcome as a part of a side effect. So as a tech product organization, our North Star is CX, not the BX. But what we believe is that if we get the CX out, the customer retention, customer satisfaction and customer referral will create a larger upliftment for business outcome.
Very interesting thoughts. And I think, Akhil, I think the same questions for you, but I think there are a lot of other challenges in payments, right? You have a lot of stakeholders whom you can't control directly or indirectly. So I would love to understand your thoughts on how do you, look at problem solving, or how do you say, okay, this is my next ball game. Okay, this is what I need to enter. And of course, with a lot of dependencies, how do you actually plan some of these activities?
Of course. So let me just try and address the first question first, which was, I think I've not really seen that it's very, very easy at times to make a case for customer experience because it at times also a conflicting outcome, say, and probably perceived so as a cost center in some of the cases. I think it's important for the organization and the team which is working on that effort to actually help stakeholders realize that there is value and a longer term value in terms of addressing CX concerns in those cases. And CX can actually be across that journey, customer cycle that we talked about. So in case of Razorpay, it boils down to really building a superior customer experience that helps them charge a premium for their service. But in some of the cases, it actually also means a superior customer experience at various touch points. So for example, we have invested heavily on developer experience, and that actually puts Razorpay as a brand front and center for techies in the organization, or say in the ecosystem as such. So some of these nuances that we've invested into may not directly result into, say, the conversion outcome, but they may actually result into long-term retention. So the integration experience that you have with a Razorpay checkout, because we've actually substantially invested into that experience, really goes on to show how you can actually measure some of that through cohort analysis, probably retention-based assessment techniques in there. But typically, I think it is fundamental to defining that as part of the DNA of the organization itself. So how do you really perceive customer experience as a differentiator in that case? And now to really come to the other question that you asked, the space that we are in, and say, I think most of the B2C space as well had happened with Ola as well. A lot of disruption really happens with regulators in this industry. Of course, there is new entrants, and a lot of those disruptions keep on happening in all the industries. Zeppto disrupted, for example, Flipkart for that matter. And similarly, typically health cart and say health tech startups really changed a lot of the ball game in terms of how we assumed traditional shopping for medicines or consultations happened. I think apart from the competition, apart from the regulatory changes, you need to also ensure where the customer is seeking the next kind of say value from your ecosystem. So in our case, we probably think about we launched the PG first in there, which is a payment gateway. But then we actually followed it up with widget-based products, which are basically around these customer experience improvements itself. So affordability widgets to even widgets around optimization, which actually solve very, very core ingrained problems for an organization in that sense. So I think it's about a combination of all three factors that I talked about. And then, of course, reacting to the changes which may be regulatory in that.
I would like to add something from my side. So I work with an online gaming firm, so we are into real money gaming. So the way we try and prioritize CX projects is See, when you have to get alignment from people, right, you need to also try and speak their language and tell them what is it in for them, right? So if I've asked my business stakeholder, what do you need from me? A business stakeholder will say, I need retention and I need acquisitions, right? If you can create a story around driving these, right, then it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, right? As long as it leads to an outcome which, leads to improvement in, say, acquisitions and this, it's a ballgame for them. Similarly for each department. So this is something that has really worked for us. So I just wanted to share that as well. Coming to a second question, Swadhin, coming to you, EdTech is a typical space as you explained, right? When and how do you realize that the customer experience game has to be upped? That's very important. Like we all create experiences, and we'll say, okay, up to ho gaya. I mean, this is where we are. How do you know and how do you measure that this has to be now taken to the next level?
Right. In EdTech, so one thing I explained before also, and now also undercover, when you take a subscription for any education, it can be Byju's or competitor, it is for 1 year or 2 years. It's not like Swiggy or Zeppto that you bought something here, it's available. And then you can switch it if it's not available or you find it cheaper. So there's something called buyer remorse, there's a word. Before you buy something, you are afraid of, should I go or should I go for it or not? Right, let's say I want to buy a car and that is like, it's costly and I will not change the car on like weekly basis. So I'll think 100 times, or maybe the day I'm going to buy, I will probably change my mind. I'll say, oh, okay, I'll wait for like this gets cheaper, or maybe I'll go for second hand. Because something which is for years, you have this fear. And the same thing happens in EdTech as well. We have different customer segment, as mentioned before. Here, the specific to the question, we initially were selling the product just for, let's say, maybe the IIT JEE crash course or test series, or for 2 years foundation plan, or for 8th class student for 4 years. We were just selling it. We were selling, hey, this is something, this is a brand Byju's, go buy it. And there we used to give initially 30 days of the refund policy, no question asked. And we have seen a lot of refund happening. The one thing we realized over the time, you cannot track anyone's performance within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of a time. It takes some time for you to improve. And that's where the buyer remorse come, that, hey, I bought it, I paid like some amount, some X amount, and I'm not seeing my kids improving in this area. Every week the test is happening. What we did that time, we started giving free trial classes. And there we wanted them to have the classes in advance and then go for the subscription. We have seen like 70% improvement in cancellation we have seen. Later on also, this subscription was for 1 year or 2 years. We also seen that people were afraid of like subscribing for 1 year. What we gave the option that, hey, you can subscribe monthly also. Go for monthly or quarterly. If you go for quarterly, it will be a little cheaper. Go for monthly, it will be a little extra on your pocket, but people go for it monthly. After a month, teacher and student interaction becomes much better. The teacher, the students can talk to, can share his feeling with the teacher. And that is those data, everything we have processed over the year, and that is where we have started taking a feedback from user that where are you right now with this kind of environment. We have seen that we have got much better feedback. But still, there are monthly progress report I mentioned, or weekly progress report, or daily practice question we give. We want to see the progress there itself. Look, now take an example where we want to see that we have to improve our performance. Let's say someone is performing better in last 6 months and suddenly we are seeing the dip in his performance. Definitely we go and check, or maybe someone physically will talk to that person and find out what is the reason it is happening. So yeah, we have multiple different scenarios where we feel that it has been already been improved, but we can do it better. And definitely the main reason people come on a tech platform for enhancement of whatever technology they want to learn, or for different grades they want to do the better in their academics. So the different data will tell you that they are improving or not. If they are improving, we go for the growth path. We have a different roadmap where we talk about only growth, and that growth will be adding more questions. How can we how can we have an AI-driven material given to students. Let's say someone is not performing well in some certain area, their performance will figure out that this person, we should give certain ebooks where he can do better in this area. So these are the different way we figure out that we should either we are there or not, or if you are there, what will be our growth charter for next few months, and yeah, so that's all right.
Great. So in the interest of time, we'll just have one last question and quick thoughts from everyone. While we want to up the CX game, we'll always have the choice to make around building versus buying, right? So would like to just quickly hear from everyone, how do you make the decision of when to build and when to buy?
I'll start with that. I think at least over the years, one of the framework which I think works very well for for most companies, and at least the companies that I've been a part of, is you take a hard look and kind of define what is your core competency of the company. Right? And whichever areas are your core competency, those are the areas where the company should actually focus on doing build, because those are the places, those are the areas where you are actually creating the differentiation for your brand versus the other brands in the market. That's the place where consumers will love you more than your competition, right? And those are the places where you need to have very tight control, and wherever you need tight control, there you actually need to build. So I think that's the general framework which I use. So basically, look at what are your core competencies and actually go about building those things. Right? I think, yeah.
Ranjit, maybe you want to share something?
So, customer experience. I mean, we are living in a very competitive world. Customer experience is definitely the key differentiator between brands. So it's not just about sitting in a room and just looking at the data. Okay, this many set of customers were dissatisfied, what we can do next. It's also very much important that few of the customers, we lose them because they don't even reach out to the support channels and lodge a complaint. So what we thought is, getting into the ground. It's not only making the sales guys to go and visit to the customers. What we thought is, we from the CX team, we go and visit our customers, retailers. Now, NinjaCard, we are into the fintech space as well. We started lending. So we go to our customers and, ask what is the problem, what can we do better. Most of the, customers always refer to, this brand is doing like this, why can't you do like that? It's a great knowledge bank, right? What we get from customers, and that's how we have to evolve, keep, looking at what are the best practices which we do in the industry, and, deploy that and, deliver a world-class experience to customers.
Great. Thank you all. We'll now open it up for questions from the audience.
Any questions, please? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Hi, I'm a CX standpoint, but trying to understand this logic of 10-minute delivery versus the data that you see for your riders and their safety. Is there any inflection point that you see if 10 minutes become 15, we have less fatal experiences for riders versus probably 8 minutes or 10 minutes is very fatal? Is there some sort of a way that the organization also look for their internal customers, as you mentioned? So is there a way that data is used in Zeppto for that?
So for instance, rider safety is something which is paramount for us. In addition, so I'll answer this question in more detail. But apart from looking into this one, I think we also look at holistically what we can do for our delivery partners. So for instance, the kind of insurance that they get, we want to actually be best in class in the terms of insurance that we give to our delivery partners. In case some of them also want to take some, maybe they want some financial assistance for their children's education, etc. So a lot of that analysis and planning happens in terms of giving the right set of benefits for our delivery partners. Actually, so in Zeppto, we never actually, our delivery partner never knows what the ETA promised to the consumer was. So by design, we actually don't show like how many minutes or how much time it'll take for the delivery partner to to deliver the order. It is because it is structurally solved in a manner that the order delivery can happen in 10 minutes. Most of the orders, so our delivery hub services between 3 to 5 kilometers. And then, so we actually measure the average riding speed of the rider, and that actually comes out to about 15 kilometers an hour. And I think that's at least I personally feel that that's a very, very safe limit for people to be able to deliver, and an average speed limit is 15 minutes, and that actually is also shown on the app. So when a consumer is placing an order, you will see what is the average speed of the rider that's there. And for us, especially for Zeppto, because the service area is only in that neighborhood, the riders are very, very aware of the neighborhood. In fact, our accident ratios are actually way below any industry norms. So it's actually one of those safer options out there compared to any of the other jobs.
So any insights on where to start? So yes, we understand the customer journey and mapping the customer journey and trying to sort of reduce the friction points or gain better understanding. But when you say analytics, so is it like based on transactions, for example, or is it something you go kind of historical data, or what kind of can you perhaps give us a few pointers of where to start, sort of where to start the journey?
I can probably talk consulting kind of a role in there, and then move through product management as first on the business strategy and then within the analytics space. So I think typically I've seen what really matters on analytics is basically there was a time when a lot of focus was on the transactional, factual data in there, but I think it's getting to a place wherein we need real-time insights, and primarily more on the engagement side. So how people interact with your website, to eventual button, to even the heat maps, and I think that's where a lot of that is, say, a tooling, from a tooling perspective, that is available these days. But then how do you relate it back to an impact metric, some sort of a predictive model in there, maybe the way to think about disruption within analytics space in there.
One final question and maybe that's time.
Find anything, whether it is an order management or it is an incident management or interfaces which are running across the different applications. So I could see defining the KPI for it is one of the critical topic, because we may have sometime we define the KPI, but that KPI, that metric is not relevant, because sometimes what will happen, it all depends upon the user, how he sees and how he responds, and what is the situation during that time when he gives a feedback. Then measuring the customer journey or defining KPI is one of the challenging. Any suggestions on this one? How do we deal with this? Or did you go through such situations?
There's a standard metric called NPS, which is the Net Promoter Score, and that's a standard. So it's a standard metric which is used to measure the effectiveness of your platform for a consumer. It kind of measures how comfortable is this consumer recommending your brand to others, right? And this is a very standard metric, and that's something that we use in Zeppto, and that becomes one of our North Star metrics. I think based on what I know, I would recommend that whichever industry you are in, I'm sure there will be some standardized metrics of measuring consumer satisfaction, and you can leverage those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can also add it. So it's also matters, right? I mean, what is the customer effort score? Whenever there is a problem, when he's reaching out a brand, how effectively it is getting addressed, and the moment he reaches to a brand, it can be WhatsApp, it can be the phone support and everything, but in what time the phone is getting answered, it's very, very important. People doesn't like the IVRs at all. They hate IVRs. We do all hate IVRs. So it's very important that it can be chat, it can be WhatsApp, it can be your email support, whatever it is. Because if customers are ordering groceries and gets delivered in 10 minutes, why not a problem get resolved instantly, right? It's very important. And the repeat percentage is very, very important. Why customers are reaching out to a brand? Is there a problem? Is there a broken journey there? That is something you have to look into it. And very important is your retention rate. It's very important. And also your referral. he was saying that, referral, the more customers you're referring your brand, I mean, the more healthy you are. So these are the, key metrics, apart from, NPS, CSAT, I would say.
I think if I'm getting the question correctly on this one, so when you talked about the OKR being a framework to measure success across a customer journey, I think it really boils down to really identifying the L0 and L1 metrics around that. Typically, I would say an OKR is a business outcome. In case of a customer journey mapping exercise, you'd probably define it as a customer outcome that you seek. And that would be an L0 in there. L1 for me in those cases would be the interactions. I think if you have a strong mapping, some sort of a causal relationship, some sort of a correlation even, I think that mapping really is the crux to really measuring each part of the OKR within that interaction, whether it is auto management space to say customer acquisition to probably in the interactions with the website and those all.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe I can also add 2 small points. It will be use case specific. What is the use case you want to, let us say, measure and improve? So if you take the example of the incidents, there will be 2 important metric in this particular use case. One is TAT, and second is first time right. So I raise a query, is it resolved now? So if you can focus only on those 2, this itself will create what we call a perception in the mind of a customer. First of all, it will uplift the customer experience, and next time when somebody speaks to this person, he will say, yeah, this is the person, he gets my problem and solve it in the first attempt. So it will be, so these 2 are metric where I will observe if user is reaching out to you for query resolution. Any type of query resolution use case will, let us say, focus on these 2 metrics.
Yeah. So I do agree on this one. As you said, it depends upon the scenario, because I was developing a monitoring end-to-end solution for order management. That was one. Then incident management, as you said rightly, the first time right. But what I observed, the user themselves are not assigning the first time ticket to the right group. That is another problem, because when it goes from one group to the another group, then obviously the resolution time will get increased. So the another was in terms of how the interface looks like, whether it is user-friendly, not user-friendly, because that is how these things gives a different experience, and could be, yes, of course, it will have a different matrix. Yeah, thank you.
Panelists, thank you so much, Prashant, Swadhin, Yash, Ranjit, Rahul, and Akhil. It's been a very insightful panel. Thank you so much for your time.